5 common mistakes that you need to avoid as a foreign owner of a US LLC or corporation. And I'm going to go through all 5 of these in this video below, in this video here. They're actually really interesting. They're not the common ones you'd expect. And the last one is super important and something that's, I have some funny stories about that I'm going to get to. So I'm going to get to 5 really quickly. I'm going to try and keep this video brief so that I can get the information out. And with that, with no further ado, let's get to the 5 common mistakes to avoid as a foreign owner of a US LLC or corporation. So if you are a foreign person and you have a US business, there's many things to discuss and to review from a tax standpoint. And that's my specific expertise. If you're a foreign owner of an LLC and you don't do anything in the US, your obligations are generally less. If you're a foreign owned person who actually is going to open a corporation and do business in the US, more of these are even more valuable to you. So the first thing that you need to know, and this applies to everyone, is the first mistake to avoid is failing to understand US business laws and regulations. It's important to familiarize yourself with the laws and regulations that apply to your business, including tax laws, which I like to talk about, employment laws, and any industry-specific regulations. We have the SEC, we have the FTC. We have all these government organizations to make sure that people are complying with the rules, not doing things that are illegal. And if you're selling a food product, maybe you have to do something with the FDA. So there's a lot of things you need to consider when you are starting a business in the US and operating this business. And understanding the laws and regulations, the tax filing that you have to do. And we talk about that a lot on this channel. Those are all really important things you need to understand so you don't make mistakes. Number 2, another common mistake that you need to avoid, number 2, is not properly documenting your business transactions. Good record keeping is essential to the success of any business. And it's important to keep accurate records of all your business transactions and document any important decisions that you make in writing in case that comes up both in law or in taxes. And you'll find out that in the US, it's a little bit more of a litigious society. There's a lot more attorneys here than in other countries, and attorneys don't even do tax law in the US. They do, but not as much. It's an extremely litigious place, and you need to make sure that all of your transactions and all the things you're doing are documented so that you're protecting yourself from legal liabilities. And if you don't do that, it's a big mistake that you can make. And that's a big difference in the US from other countries. Number 3, failing to obtain necessary permits and licenses. Depending on the nature of your business, you may need to obtain certain permits and licenses in order to operate legally in the US. And this is by jurisdiction. For example, in Florida, if you have a business in Florida, you have to register with the city of Miami, with the state of Florida, and you have to register with different commissions depending on what service or you're providing. So there is a lot of different things you need to know about, and that's just in Miami-Dade. And that's 3 different registrations that you might have to do that you wouldn't even know about. And it's complicated, and it's really based on where you're at and where you might have employees. So there's a lot of different permits and licenses that could apply. There's a lot of information on the internet, but if you don't deal with that, that's a common mistake that many foreign owners make. Number 4 is a common one I'm not going to go into. It's not seeking professional advice. Obviously, if you're watching this, you're seeking some quasi-professional advice, because disclaimer, this isn't professional advice. This is just educational, entertainment information that I'm sharing with you, just some good ideas. But getting specific advice for your situation, whether you're working with lawyers, accountants, CPAs, or other business professionals to guide you through what you need to do and how to do it, that's a big mistake people make, is by just doing it themselves. And not that it's obviously in my own best interest to promote seeking professional advice as someone who sells professional advice. I do it too. I pay attorneys for contracts all the time. I pay all kinds of professionals for everything other than my taxes. I don't pay someone to do my own taxes. Number 5, and this is one that is actually huge in the US, not properly handling employment issues. As an employer in the US, you're responsible for complying with employment laws, including laws related to hiring, firing, and the treatment of employees. Make sure to familiarize yourself with these laws and seek professional advice about this as well. And a funny story about this is that basically I hire people from outside of the country to work for me and work with me. And I had different chief of staffs from other countries and different people on my team. And when they do interviews, they're asking questions that are illegal to ask in the US. So if you're hiring someone in Colombia or in anywhere in Latin America, you can ask them where they live, who they live with, how old they are, do they have any kids, when did they last have kids, are they married, are they in a relationship, all of these personal questions that literally, if I try and hire an American and I ask them how old they are and I don't hire them, they can sue me and win a lawsuit because of ageism. If I ask them if they're a man or a woman, I guess, and I don't know, I guess I could get sued for that. If I ask where all of this stuff, you can get sued for discrimination in the U.S. if you ask these questions. So when you're hiring in the U.S., it's really important to understand employment laws, because this is a huge deal. People get sued all the time for violating these laws. And when the laws are different country to country, you wouldn't even think twice about asking these questions. Whereas in the U.S., it's like you ask some of these questions, they will sue you. And I'm not saying you'll lose and you'll go bankrupt, but it's really important to just do this the right way so you don't have to deal with any problems in the future. So I hope this list of 5 common mistakes to avoid as a foreign owner of a U.S. LLC or corporation was helpful. A lot of this may not apply to a foreign-owned single-member LLC owner, as you don't have anything going on in the U.S. at all. And if you're just owning an LLC and you're doing services in your own country and you don't have any presence at all in the U.S., most of this stuff doesn't really apply except for professional advice and U.S. business laws. But you wouldn't have U.S. employees, and you may not need permits and licenses if you're not doing business in the U.S. So those things wouldn't apply, but everything else does. So I hope this video was helpful. Comment below if you have any other questions, or if I missed anything, or if I was wrong about something, and like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for being here, and have a great day.